Hello, everybody. It's Dana Brooks back with the Empower Plant crew, and this is another episode of the Empower Hour. We have a very exciting guest today. It's my good friend Dianne Williams-Cox. She's currently serving as District 5 or Seat 5. I'm sure she'll correct me on this, but she's one of your Tallahassee City Commissioners. But she's an old friend of mine and an old friend of the firm going way back. And she has run for other offices, and she has been serving for 4 years, I believe, right, Dianne?
Just about.
Well, first of all, I want to welcome you here, and then I'll introduce our panel. But first, welcome, because I know you are busy right now, lady.
Thank you. I'm never too busy for my friends and family, so thank you. And I consider you family. You're right. We go way back, and I did run for some other offices, and you've always been there to support me. So thank you for your continuing support, and I'm happy to do whatever I can to keep you going and to keep me going.
It takes everybody, doesn't it?
Yes.
I want to talk about who's on the show with us today. We've got our PR director, Kia Thomas. Kia, welcome back.
Hello, everyone.
We've got Denisha Hill. She's in our client care department, and she is also helping me get a strong TikTok game going. So that's a big challenge in and of itself. trying to make me look TikTok cute. But anyway, welcome, Denisha. And we have got my law partner, Kimmy Hogan, back. Hey, Kimmy.
Thank you so much. Hey, I got to get some of Denisha's TikTok magic.
I know. She's got it. She's got it going.
I got you. I told Jimmy I got him too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, Jimmy's going to end up being one of those people who gets all these sponsorship deals. He'll be doing a haul in his office soon, unpacking a bunch of stuff he's been sent by sponsors. I can't wait. But anyway, Kimmy, I wanted to talk this time on this show about, because it's a women's empowerment show, and we're fortunate enough to have an actual elected official here. But when you think about, do you ever think about running for office? Because I've talked to y'all about it several times, and I always change my mind. I'd rather support good candidates than try to be one. But what do you think, Kimmy, when you think about running for office? Especially as
for myself personally, I don't see it happening anytime soon. But I'm in my mid-30s. I've got young kids. I just feel like I don't have the experience necessary to really be able to address all the concerns in our community. And so I look for leaders that have been around, who have been involved in different areas of the community, have been on boards, and really, kind of know what's going on and how all the different facets of our local economy work together. So, I've thought about that in the past of would I run for office? And the answer right now is absolutely not. Do I hope to be so connected in the community and so knowledgeable about our town in 10, 20 years that I could? I mean, I'd like to be knowledgeable. So
yeah. Kimmy's homegirl. She's from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which high school?
She's got a lot of good connections.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So I grew up. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, when I was your age, I didn't think that it could happen either, because, I had small children. But guess who led me into this arena? The small children. I was where they were, in the schools and dealing with the issues at the school with teachers and principals. And I found that a lot of parents were not there for many reasons. So I was just standing in the gap for those parents. And so I cut my eye teeth, as we say, on volunteering on the school advisory council, BTSO, selling whatever they were selling to do fundraising and trying to get more parents. I was the football booster president at my son's high school. My son is 6'4", 300 pounds, and I was the booster club president. And what I would do is, after football games, I would beat the bus to the school and be there to hug those big old sweaty guys, because sometimes that was the only hug that they were going to get.
Wow, Dianne. Tell us your story. Just look, for people who don't know you, Dianne, tell us who you are. Tell us your story.
Well, I like to say this is humble beginnings, but you don't know how humbling it is until you've grown through it. I'm originally from Quincy, Florida, born and raised. My parents were met at a church, and I became the product of that meetup. And I ended up being raised by my maternal grandmother with the guidance of my paternal grandparents, because my parents didn't marry. My dad became a teacher and moved to New York. My mom moved up to Connecticut to work in Connecticut. And so I grew up here in Quincy, matriculated through high school in Gadsden County, came to Florida A&M, and that's where my life changed forever. I received a degree in data processing technology because my dad told me, I said, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a lawyer. He said, listen, teachers don't make money. So you need to learn about those computers, because it was the early 80s and I'd never touched a computer. And so I took his advice and I went to FAMU and learned how to write computer programming, and became a computer programmer for a defense contractor, did internships in Detroit with General Motors, and came back and graduated from Florida A&M, and went to work as a COBOL programmer
I
in
remember that.
Florida. Y'all
Cobalt
remember
Fortran.
Yes, and Fortran. Yes, I did that too. Married my high school sweetheart. We're from the same neighborhood in Quincy.
Oh,
And we decided to move from Central Florida back to this area. And we raised our sons. We're the parents of 3 adult sons. We have one that will be 45 soon, one that just turned 35 this week, and our youngest is 32. And we have 6 adorable grandchildren. I tell you, I call them my heartbeats, because my heart beats heavily when I see them. And I tell them all the time, I could swallow y'all whole. So a lot of what I do it because of that groundedness that I had, the foundation of a loving family that I could then bring to a family. But I've learned that that's not the case in a lot of cases. And so what I've tried to do in these 30 years of working in this community is trying to stand in the gap for families that need help and need assistance. So I've tried to organize people to come to commission meetings, go to the legislative meetings, go to school board meetings, and voice your concerns. And so I ended up many times being the one there voicing the concern, because many times folks didn't come join me there. And so I've just kind of gone from there to where I am now. I ran for office, started running for office in 2008, ran for school board, for the school board, because I just got my youngest son graduated and I learned some things, and I thought it would be great for other parents to know what I learned and how to get their kids through the public school system. Well, I ran against an incumbent and lost, but I learned. And then I ran for the state house twice, didn't take those seats either, but I learned. And then I ran for the city commission and I won. And I've been there 3.5 years, and I'm seeking re-election right now to continue this great work that we're doing here in the city of Tallahassee, to have us trending in the right direction. I'm sure you've seen my commercial on television, and I do believe that we are trending in the right direction, and we need to keep going in that direction. So
I love
that's
it.
my story, and I'm sticking to it.
You know, when I heard Kimmy talking, I thought to myself, I bet she's got more experience that is germane to running for office in the future than she realizes. Because we got kids, somebody's roped you into some committees, you know.
That's right.
And you know, you have had some leadership roles, whether you ask for them or not. And you've got more contacts than you think. You know, when my daughter, she went to preschool with some kids, and then she kind of went to a different way, and then they reemerged together, this group of kids in high school. And so I recognized all the parents. They didn't look a whole lot different, but I couldn't tell any of those kids. I didn't know what, I mean, I couldn't have told anybody's kids, but it was just so funny. I thought to myself, you know, some people, all these people that you think is just somebody's, you know, another parent at daycare or another, you know, parent in cheer. And they're, next thing you know, you've got a pretty big darn connection. Absolutely. And you know what I loved about what you're saying is, you know, school board, that's your, you know, heart and passion because of where you were oriented right then. But then you look for something beyond children whenever your life cycles changed. And I'm so glad you did decide to go more local, because I think you can do more locally than you can do at the state level. Just my
absolutely. I would be most miserable if I was in the Florida legislature right now.
I mean, don't. Hey, I got another Rattler on the panel.
Hey, how are you?
All right, Rattler's in the house. I was just telling them earlier that as soon as we're done here, I'm headed over to the fairgrounds. Commissioner Bill Proctor is doing the kickoff for FAMU football with the band and the football team there. So I'm going to grab my orange jacket and head on over there.
I have like 3 of those, plus my like green jacket as well. You know, that's always good. That's a part of our whole, you know,
gotta have a wardrobe
regardless.
That's right. And I have the orange and green sweater, but it might be a little bit too warm to wear that.
Oh, honey, it's so
Don't
hot.
do it yet. Don't do it
I
yet.
wish they back football up another couple of months. That doesn't even start until October for me. I'm still trying to be at the beach right now. It's just too hot for a football.
I hear you.
And you like the cool breeze, like still at the beach. That's the best part of it. Just sitting there with the cool breeze.
Well, Kia, do you ever think about running? Did you do any SGA, student government? What are your thoughts on people running for office, and does that ever intimidate you, interest you? What do you think?
I was on SGA at FAM. I was a part of the Electoral Commission. You know, I'm always the type that likes to be in the background. So I was kind of controlling all of the policies and procedures of all of our elections. Like, nope, you can't do that. You can't hang this, you can't do this, or let's follow these directions, you know. But I don't think I will ever run. Now, to support in a background from a PR angle, because I'm always looking at perspective. I would love to be able to be something like an Olivia Pope, like, hey, just without the scandal, let's minus that part. But
extreme list.
right, to definitely be in the background to be like, hey, here's the perspective of the people, or this is what's going on. But yeah, I don't foresee myself running, but I would definitely love to support candidates that are deeply rooted, kind of like what Kimmy said, within the community, and continuously making sure that, you know, we're making this community wealthy with all of the riches that it has here. And I think people fail to realize that. I think that's why I stayed. You know, I came from a big city, but I still stayed here in Tallahassee. Ms. Dianne, I heard you talk about trends, and, you know, with that, there's always a calculation behind a trend, right?
Yes.
So how do you think you would calculate the positive impacts of having women in running for office or in certain positions?
This is going to be my totally unbiased opinion. It is a total miscalculation when we do not.
Yes, it is.
We have to be there. When women run and when women win, we take care of everybody.
Right.
We take care of everybody without scandal.
Yeah.
Let me just say that part. We take care of everybody. We look under the covers. We look at the details. We just do it different because that's just how we're oriented.
Yes.
We don't have room for error, because if I mess up, another woman may not get that chance.
Right.
So true.
So I gotta, and Dana, you know, when we talk through the years, it's not always men that do that to us either. It's other women that would do that to us. We talk about the glass ceiling. It's not always men who is keeping that glass ceiling up. Sometimes it's other women.
Yeah,
and
right.
so I always want to be that woman to encourage another woman, whether she has maybe not have a shot at all, but I want to be that voice that says to her, yes, you can. So I tell my story. I ran for office. This is my 5th time running for office. Yep. And I may not have taken those seats in the past, but I learned something every time, and you learn something from every experience. So right. I encourage women to run. If that's what you want to do it. Don't let money stop you. Don't let other things that other people throw down to stop you. You run, because if it's your time, you will win. And if it's not your time, run again.
That's right. That's right. And everything you do, like you said, everything is teeth cutting. You know, now I know something. I don't have to do that now, because I learned that the hard way.
That's right.
I don't have to call, you know, start from cold calling. I got connections now.
That's right.
So I'm going to start with my network and let them put their tentacles out there.
That's right.
You know, one thing that would, you know, Jimmy Facing preaches this all the time. He says, you know, ours is a relationship business, and I feel like the world is a relationship business. You know, you've got to always be networking. Yes. Don't burn bridges unless you really just cannot work it out. And sometimes if you let something go, you can come back to it later and mend something, you know. So I try to encourage people to just not be so, you know, I'm done with this person, or I can't stand that person. And, you know, you don't know everything. And I do think women bring a unique perspective to becoming elected officials because of our background being so different. You know, if you do have a professional orientation, you probably also have a lot of domestic responsibilities that went right along with it. You didn't shift it off. You're doing all that. And I think women necessarily have to consider other perspectives in their world. Whereas if you are a man and things have gone pretty well for you in the world, you probably don't find yourself wondering about what other people think or feel. You feel pretty, you know, convinced that you know what you know, and we all do, but you don't know what everybody else knows. And you can't live your life making assumptions about other people because of how they vote, how they're registered, where they live, what their job is, that sort of thing. You really have
and what their past is, because we all have a past. So be very careful when you start digging in other folks' closets of what they've done in the past, because somebody may be digging in yours, and there may be some clothes in there that you thought you had gotten rid of.
That you just outgrew. You held on to.
Yeah,
They're not coming back in season, and you're never going to be a size 2 again.
that's
buddy.
right. That's right. So I'll say to Kimmy, you know, with the small children, I didn't run for office until I got my last son out of high school, because I didn't want my children to be a target. And I know many times women think about that and they do that, but like Dana said, men don't think about that. They can have small children.
Yeah.
If they want to run for office, they're gonna run for office.
That's right.
You know, they don't even think about that.
No.
But that's what I did. I did that. I was a choice to make sure that I had my children out, you know, and sustainable before I did this.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, it's just all about the planning and the timing, because you can do too much at the wrong time and everything goes to pot.
Right.
Nothing works. But if you plan it and you really take inventory of all the resources you have, I can't say that enough. People have so much more available to them to help them reach their goals than they realize.
Yes.
You just got to open your mind, and you got to start talking to people, let them know, I want to do this. Dianne reached out to me. She's like, I want to run for office. I want to serve. I got to serve its heart. I've got ideas, and I've got a basis for these ideas. I've got contacts. I've talked to people. I think I understand what people would want from me and expect from me. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it again. And so, you know, she texts me, I show up with a sign, Dianne.
That's right.
Dianne on the street. I love street sign waving. I can't wait. I don't know why. I just love it's like a parade.
Hey,
I wish I could take my t-shirt
right now, Dana. We're doing the sign waving right now.
When I get back in town, you know, I'm there for you. No, I love it. I love it. I've got a big shirt that I wear that says Votes for Women. And then I just, I love it. Denisha, you had a minute to talk to Dianne before we got started. What kind of questions or thoughts do you have about women in office and running for elected office?
Well, I'll be honest with you. When it comes to politics and women in office, I really don't know a lot. So when I found out you was coming on, the first thing came to my mind was city commissioner. What does a city commissioner do? Because I'm going to be honest, I'm the type in my little small town, because I'm from Mariana, Jackson County. So Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so went to church with us, and she's running for, or he's running. So that's who you vote for. Right. So for somebody like me that does not really know what does our city commissioner do, how would you describe your job? Like, what would you say that your job would be, you know, for the district of Tallahassee?
Beautiful question. And distinguish this, Dianne, if you will, the city commission from what maybe a county commissioner does.
Right.
Right.
So the city commission, we're citywide. We don't have districts. We say seats, but that's just a seat number. But we set policies and procedures for how government operates here in the city limits of the city of Tallahassee. So we have ordinances, you know, you probably heard about the noise ordinance. We vote on those kinds of things. We listen to citizens' concerns, you know, trash pickup needs to happen. We don't do that ourselves. We have staff that we then relay that information to make sure that citizens receive what they're needing to receive. We're governed by a charter that is the citizens of the city of Tallahassee put in place. And so we follow that charter. We follow the Florida statutes, the state of Florida laws. We follow those. Whereas with the county commission is the whole county. What's unique about our county is that there's one city in the county. That's Tallahassee. There's only one city. So many times the lines get really blurred. So in the city of Tallahassee, we have approximately 200,000 residents. And in the county, we have totally 300,000. So 100,000 in the unincorporated areas and 200,000 in the incorporated areas. And so the county commission is kind of like a overarching kind of report directly to the state, kind of constitutionally defined and what have you, as opposed to us being part of the charter. The county commissioners also earn a lot more. Not that that's important, but we earn half of what county commissioners earn. And that's because of what our charter says. Because someone thought it was a great idea once upon a time that we would do this, because the city commission's job is part-time.
Oh, we're going to talk about that in a minute.
But
part-time.
I work it full-time, and many of us do, because 200,000 residents need your attention full time.
Okay,
And I just
right.
could not focus on anything else. So I only do this. But those are some of the major things. And we, you know, we have city streets that we're responsible for, and there are
Mhm.
county roads that the county is responsible for. So there are a number of differences, and we work together as a congenial group to make sure that we get what we need, because again, we're one city in this county. So we have to try to get along, make sure we move our county along. And we're the capital city of the third largest state in the nation.
Right.
To keep that in mind. That's pretty darn important right there.
Yes, it is. You know, I wanted to ask you a follow-up to Denisha's question. How did you learn all that? Did you know all that? I mean, what you just hit us with, that's like a, you know, there's a whole class on that, I'm sure in law school, somebody would have taught me. How did you learn all that? Did you kind of pick it up on the way? I mean, you have to have a certain amount to know about what you're getting into and what your responsibilities and ethics are. Because I would hate to be walking around about to step in a gotcha trap because I didn't know some little esoteric rule that I screwed up. Next thing you know, they're calling me unethical and put me in the paper. How did you make sure that, you know, you abide all those things, and how did you educate yourself? Is it staff? Did you do it ahead of time?
Yeah, some of all of that. I
Okay.
came knowing I had civics growing up, so I knew how government was supposed to work and how it kind of works, you know, on the local, state level. And so once I became a commissioner, I got great orientation. We have appointed officials. We have our city manager, because we have a council management type government. We do not have a strong mayor. The mayor's vote equals my vote, is what that means. So the city manager actually operates and executes. He's the CEO of the city. We also have our city attorney, who will make sure that we follow the law. And I listen, I meet with her every week to make sure that we'll follow I don't want to see my name in the paper
Thank you.
because I stepped on something or did something I wasn't supposed to do. We also have our treasurer clerk, who makes sure our bills get paid, make sure our bond rating is good. So if we need to borrow money, matter of fact, the city of Tallahassee has an excellent bond rating, so we're able to borrow money for, you know, a little, basically discounted. And we have our inspector general, who also serves as our auditor. I learned from each of those appointed officials what their roles were and what my role would be as a commissioner. And they're also, you know, reading the charter and understanding what it is that I'm supposed to be doing as a city commissioner. So, you know, just and relying sometimes on former commissioners to share with you some of their experiences as well.
You know, that's interesting. So they're generous with you all, then, the people who've served in the past. That's good to know that they're
Sometimes.
make themselves available, because they have a lot of really valuable institutional knowledge. You can't just go find that somewhere. They're walking around with it in their head. So I'm interested. I serve on some finance committees, and I help some people, you know, try to get elected to office. And I will notice sometimes there are a lot of former elected officials who are now coming back and helping these people. And the information they're able to share is invaluable. You just can't.
It's invaluable.
learn that kind of thing.
And I'm also a part of a group called the Florida League of Cities.
Okay.
I was just elected to serve on the board of directors for the Florida League of Cities, which is a group that, you know, the state of Florida has 412 cities, towns, and villages. And we come together and you know, kind of keeps the state operating in a organized manner. And so you also have those individuals from those other cities and towns and villages that you can also reach out to and rely on about what's happening in their cities and towns, so that you can kind of see what works there. If it'll work here, you can get ideas. And I'm always reading it. I'm a news junkie. So I wake up watching the news and I go to bed watching the news. I'm always looking to see what's going on around the world, to see if there's something that we can bring to Tallahassee. And one of the things that I saw in my first term was that in Las Vegas, they took a week worth of parking fees and donated it to a local school for school supplies. So I brought that suggestion to the city of Tallahassee, and we did that to the tune of $150,000 that we donated to the Leon County Schools Foundation for school supplies for our students. 1 week of parking fees.
That's amazing.
That's how I do it. I'm Google is my friend. You know, I'm a data person. You can't just tell me something. You got to show me where it's written, and you got to give me some data from a trusted source for me to be able to use it.
You know, I want to get back to our panel, but I was following up on the time. You're talking to Denise about how much time this is, because it's supposed to be a part-time job. I can't remember what y'all make or how much staff you have, but it always occurs to me, same thing with the legislature. You got to be independently kind of financially okay to be able to serve the people.
You got to trust God.
Trust but verify.
Yes,
No, I mean, I know what you're saying. You got to just believe it. It's your mission and you have to do it. It's just, to me, I just think it'd be better if your pay was more reflective of the commitment. I think you could get, you know, more people willing to do that, because you don't want a bunch of people in there who, you know, are so, you know, well off or connected that they're just disconnected from the average person that they're there to try to help. They just don't have a whole lot in common with those people and their struggles. So I don't know. It just seems like, to me, it's still out of reach, because I don't care what they say. It's not a part-time job, either one of those things. You know, you got committees and all this stuff. It's not just you show up that meeting once,
right,
you know, and then ask staff to do
I
everything.
serve on several committees. You're right. But you know, many citizens have reminded me, I knew this when I took the job.
Yes,
And they're right. I did. But I'm going to do the job no matter what it pays. I'm going to do the job.
I know.
Because it needs to be done. I live here. I love this town. I want folks to live here safe and be happy here in Tallahassee. So I'm going to do the job.
Yeah, I know you will. I know you will. Kimmy, what are you thinking as we're going through this, talking about running for office and elected officials and women empowerment?
Yes, I have a lot of questions. But first of all, I love that you said you're dating, because me too, right? Show me the peer-reviewed study. Let's look at it.
That's right.
I'm going to hit you with 3 different questions. The first is, are there term limits for city commissioners? I know this is you're running for your second time around. How many times can you run?
No term limit.
Okay.
2, I wanted to get your thoughts on how campaigning has changed from 2008 until now, because I know there was social media back then, but it wasn't quite as prevalent as it is now.
Let me tell you, I have said this to people, and that's my husband sneezing. I tell people this, and I've not done a scientific study. I've just been reviewing this. 24/7 news and social media has done something to all of us. And it's not all good that has happened. So social media has provided opportunities for folks to sit behind their computer and do some things that are not good. But social media also has allowed people to sit behind their computer and do some things that are good. And campaigning has really ramped up in the social media world. And since Donald Trump, it has really, it's on steroids.
It is.
Because you don't even have to tell the truth anymore. You can just put something out there and people take it and run with it and just repeat it. Yeah. And so Facebook has tried to temper that down some, but for those of us who are trying to do good, what that does is that puts up barriers for us. And so it has really changed a lot. It has ramped up. It's good to try to get your message out, but you got to understand that everyone is not on social media. Right. So you got to get out in these streets and meet people where they are. I'm in the grocery store. I'm meeting people in the grocery store. Even at a mass, they recognize who I am. And I stop to talk to them and understand what it is, what their needs are. In church or wherever I am, schools, we've got to meet people on the streets and where they are.
Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, when I see candidates on the side of the streets waving signs, I get a thrill. And I'm like, yes, if you want my vote, get out there,
That's
switch
right.
the process. And I love it. So
my husband and I have been out there for the past 2 mornings, early in the morning, and he made him a sign. So it's on a stick and he's sitting and I'm waving. And one of our neighbors sent me a picture calling us a power couple because he's there sitting, he's holding the sign and I'm out there waving. And so that to me is just priceless because I love having him out there with me.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
love it. So my third question is kind of a silly question, but I know that Tallahassee's water has been voted the tastiest water in Florida, which is amazing. And I agree. I've been here my whole life. But do you have any idea why our water tastes so good?
We have true professionals who are over there mixing it and making it taste good.
We got mixologists, is what she's saying, Kimmy.
No, seriously, we do have we have dedicated professional staff that's concentrated on making sure that our water quality is good, making sure that our air quality is good, and they do a wonderful job. And they produce a report annually to let us know about this quality of water and where we are and what we're doing. And I'm not a real water drinker, but I love drinking water straight from the tap here in Tallahassee because you can. I've gone places where the water has some kind of funny taste to it, but not in Tallahassee. So I love drinking water here. The
Yeah, I'm
colder, the
spoiled.
better.
Yeah.
I'm spoiled. I don't want anybody else's tap water, just Tallahassee. Is that a city function? The city is who monitors
Yes.
the water and air supply, right? Yeah.
Yes, the city does that. We own our own utilities, which is a plus. So we're able to do that as well as provide the electricity that's needed. We also, branched over into solar. We have 2 huge solar farms out at the airport, and we also, we run the airport. So the city of Tallahassee has a lot going on.
I was going to say that. How common is it for a city municipality to own utilities and to own and run the airport?
There are not very many that do all of that. So when in talking about data, when I'm presented with data about what other cities are doing, I want to make sure we're comparing apples to apples. I need a city that's doing what the city of Tallahassee is doing to make sure we're being fair in that comparison. And, to find a city that's doing utilities, running an airport, doing all these other things that the city of Tallahassee is doing, they're rare.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all got a lot on your plate compared
Yes, we
to
do.
other ones.
Yes, we do.
I grew
And
up
then, you and I, we've had some great conversations about our airport. And I hope that you have found that we are growing and we have improved. And, we got that international processing facility that's going to be taking place there. We unfortunately, one of the airlines that we had left, they didn't survive COVID. But I am encouraged that as we continue to grow, that we are going to continue to entice other airlines to come. And travel is really up at the airport. Yeah. And I don't know if you heard about it or not, but the TSA processing is now back at the airport, so you don't have to travel somewhere else to get your pre-TSA.
Yeah. No, I've noticed a lot of improvement. I don't complain about it. I think it's because I flew so much during COVID. I have some perspective. So now I'm like, things happen. Don't cry about every little thing. But yeah,
do let us know if you have concerns, though.
What now?
Do let us know if you have concerns, though.
I did, because when y'all didn't have that valet back fast enough, I went online about it. I had to park my own car. That was just uncivilized. No, I'm a little precious. But no, I like it.
I love valeting myself now. I do. You coming off a flight, you want your car waiting for you.
I want that car right there. I want the AC on. I want to get right into it. And I'm willing to pay $5 extra a day or whatever it is in a minute. That's $20. I don't mind spending. Boom, have it.
Yeah.
Kia, what are your thoughts after we've been continuing to talk?
A lot, but to start, I would like to say, I know that we're talking about women's empowerment, and I think one of the biggest struggles with us as women, or some women, is that all of us have different personalities, right? So I think I want to pose to you is, how can women work across the divides of our own opinions of each other so that we can continue to break these glass ceilings? I'm sure you come into, contrast with this or into any type of situations like this, because women are now actually getting into that political field. And I think we need to become more supportive, not just in that field, but in all. So what has been some of the things that you have encountered in regards to this?
Yeah, how do you deal with women not getting along with other women versus people just not getting along generally? There's got to be, like Kia says, there's got to be something a little different whenever it's, you're dealing with another woman.
Yeah, it has been, women, we love to talk, don't we? So we've got to talk to one another and find out what is the issue. I saw someone on Facebook that's really laying me out, and we had no conversation. So I picked up the phone and I called her.
Good for you.
What have I done? What is it that I need to do? If I'm doing something wrong, let me know. Let
Let's
me
talk about
fix it. How can we fix it? And she was so appreciative that we now have a great relationship that we can call and just talk to each other. And she continuously remind me, I'm glad you called me. She said, only thing I hate is I didn't call you first. So I encourage us
I
to
love that.
talk to one another.
Yeah.
You know, we got a lot of stuff going on. You know, some people got 2-lane highways. We have freeways going on in our heads. And we got, we're trying to move the world. As I say many times, I'm trying to move our city forward. But if I don't move this house forward, that what I'm doing out there is not even gonna matter. And so sometimes we got stuff that's going on here we're thinking about. We got the children, we got the grandchildren, we got the husband, we got the parents.
House.
And you're just bringing a lot of stress and you're trying to manage it and deal with it. And it manifests sometimes onto other people. And so sometimes just being able to give a woman an encouraging word. I like the people wearing your hair. Are those new glasses? I like
All
that.
the time.
Are you losing weight? You look good, girl.
Yes.
Good morning, gorgeous.
Yes.
Good morning. Those kinds of things I think help to break that ice because somebody's got to do it.
Right.
So I always want to be the one who's the big girl in the room and get that done.
Yeah. And what do we usually do? Think about it. What our usual default position is okay.
All right, Miss Payne.
Then you're like, first of all, I hate her forever now. Two, I'm just gonna fuel this and I'm gonna feed it. I'm gonna make assumptions about why she's doing it, where she's coming from, and I'm just gonna feed on it. And I'm just gonna get so mad and indignant, and I'm gonna feel so put upon and so mistreated. And next thing you know, your blood pressure's through the roof. That person sit over there doing whatever the hell they were doing before you
don't even know it.
To that fit. So it's irrational. But just that two things, like you said, Dianne, talk. Reach out, talk to somebody and say, whenever I saw this, it made me feel this way and I wanted to do something about it. Can I reach out? Can we talk about this? Maybe there's a misunderstanding. I would like to hear what you have to say or whatever. That's number one, reach out and talk. And number two, apologize sometimes.
Yes.
So many people think apology is weakness. Apology is strength, man.
Yes.
You own your stuff and you say, you know what? I wish I could take that back. I was wrong about that. I've learned more and I'm not doing that again. And I'm sorry that my behavior hurt you. I'm sorry this caused you problems. Whatever it is, it could just be, I'm sorry I made assumptions. It doesn't matter, but I'm not, for somebody who tells women to stop apologizing all the time, because those baseless apologies, those are worthless. They just water you down. They just make you look like you don't belong there and you don't have any real, self-esteem whenever you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm late. I'm so sorry. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just having the real, wherewithal and in character really to recognize that you make mistakes too.
Absolutely.
They have consequences and you need to own that. So that's just good life skills for anybody. And it's hard. Don't think that because I tell you about it, it's so easy.
Right.
No, it's not easy, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
Very necessary.
I have to determine when should you try to fix it and when should you just, because I'm the type, you don't exist in my world and I'm good at that. You do not exist in my world. I don't have the patience. Like you said, we have too much going on to be dealing with the other. Yeah. So I have to distinguish what relationships are worth saving. Right. And some people you just not gonna mesh with, and it's okay.
That is okay. Yep. But I think if it is
in a small town, because that person who you just dissed and you just put to the side may be the ticket to your next whatever.
Come on.
So you gotta be careful because we're not in New York City. We're in Tallahassee, and you're gonna see them again. Somewhere somehow.
That's true. And I try to get to a point where even if we don't like each other, we could be civil. We don't have to be ugly. That sort of thing.
All of that. Absolutely.
Denisha, what other questions and thoughts do you have about our topic?
My last thought would be, if you could change one thing in Tallahassee, what would that be?
Man, you're a good interviewer. I'm going to give you the show, man. She comes out with those hard-hitting questions every week. I wasn't going to put her on the spot like that, Denisha. She's my friend.
I'll find that magic wand. If I could change one thing in Tallahassee, I would fix poverty.
Mm.
Poverty is
It's
the
the
root.
root of every problem.
It's the root of every problem.
Every problem.
Yes. If I could fix that, and let me tell you, one of the things that we did, we have it in our strategic plan to have an impact on poverty. And the way we're doing that is we're promoting job growth.
Yeah.
We're promoting job training. We're promoting businesses to come to our community. We're working on housing, affordable housing. We're trying to get children in programs. We have our summer program where they're actually being paid to work so they can learn how to work legitimately and earn money. Those are the things that we're trying to do to have an impact on poverty. And if we are able to do that successfully, it's going to temper down on some of the gun violence and some of the crime that's happening, because people are doing things that they think they need to do to survive.
Yeah.
And so if we can teach them how to survive without losing their lives or losing the lives of loved ones, then we have been able to be successful in that. So if I could fix one thing, it would be that.
That's awesome.
That's good.
You know, this was really hit home. You know this, Dianne. Most people who watch this show know I was a social worker, political social worker before I went to law school. And we were looking at data on schools one time in the Leon County area. And we were looking at school performance. And then there are certain other factors that went into the school performance, the school grades. And you looked at, one of the things was how many children are on free or reduced lunch, because that's a sign of the poverty conditions in that area, right? And so whenever you looked at the school performance at the time, now this is 20 years ago, the school that was the lowest in our area had the most, you know, free lunch, reduced lunch, that sort of thing, lowest score, 97% white school. It was fourth grade. And so many people assume color is more relevant to outcomes, race, that sort of thing, than poverty. It's about not having the money to get the basic things you need in this world. And that is what drives people to do things that gets them in the system to where they are labeled as, you know, low character, lazy, not motivated. And it's a label that is fixed upon them by people with really no perspective, or some people who did come up out of it. And then they have that same, oh, well, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and I did this. And why don't you do that? I really wonder how somebody could let those words out of their mouth. Because, you know, you didn't have the same experience everybody did.
Right.
Why do you think everybody's going to be able to have your thing? Like I came up out of nothing, but man, I had a lot of big breaks. You know, I had a lot of lucky things going for me that other people who came from poverty didn't. So I can't look at everybody else and go, where the hell are you, man? Why aren't you out here with me? No, what I need to do is turn around and say how to make a path.
Right. And having grown up on free and reduced lunch, I'm very sensitive to that. And I knew how that data was being used. And it always bothered me because, you know, serving on school advisory councils with my kids or what have you, I wanted to make sure that my kids were not on free and reduced lunch.
Yeah.
Because I did not want them to be a part of that statistic of that. Because I grew up with that stigma.
Yeah.
And so I understand what that means. Because, you know, I was being raised by a grandmother. We were poor.
Yeah.
But we didn't know it because we had a garden. And while the other kids in the neighborhood was playing, she had us working in that garden. We had fresh vegetables. We had dinner waiting for us when we got home and stuff. So in today's society, we don't have that so much now. And so we're still dealing with food insecurity.
Yeah.
And we're trying to find ways to fill that gap, to make sure that children have what they need to be able to eat and learn and not be at school hungry, because they won't perform well if they're hungry. When I'm hungry, I can't perform.
Oh, nobody wants to be around me when I'm hungry.
You must be hangry.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the word they use, Diane.
Okay. We won't go that far.
Everybody starts looking for a sandwich. Give me a candy bar. Give her something. No, it's so true though, because and you know, I want to speak to what you said about the stigma, because I was raised that way. My mother wasn't going to have me on reduced lunch. It was a pride thing. But my mother could have used some help. Had my mother gone on government assistance for a small time and gotten her education, her whole life trajectory would have been different. Of course, mine would have been too. I don't know what I would have done, but her pride really kept her out of things. So I get what you're saying about, I don't want my kids in that statistics, but sometimes you need to ask for help when you need help.
Yes,
That
indeed.
doesn't mean unpack and live there and think you have no other option.
Right.
It's a
But
crutch.
if you need some help for a while to get your kids to a certain point, or until they're in school so you can go to work, or so you can get some education, so you can get them into a better neighborhood and a safer home, get them out of the streets or whatever. You do what you got to do, you know,
In fact,
especially if you're a mama.
You're exactly right. In fact, when I was in college, I was a teenage mother, by the way. And when I was in college, I was on welfare and food stamps.
Mhm.
One of my proudest moments was when I graduated college and I had my job, that COBOL programming job. I drove by that food stamp office, that welfare office in Quincy, and gave them a letter and told them, don't send me another check.
Oh,
I was just so proud of that. And
Yeah.
I just went on. And so I always try to encourage others that this is a crutch. It is not a way of life. It is a crutch. And you only need crutches until the
Until
bone
you heal.
heals.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and we're here to try to help the bone heal, so you won't be on that crutch forever.
Yeah.
So that, you know, so I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Because you know what people think about you, anybody's going to judge you for that, or is going to have an attitude that doesn't belong to you. That's their stuff that they're putting out into the
That's
universe.
right.
Don't take things that don't belong to you. That has nothing to do with you. You do you. You
That's
don't
right.
worry about what anybody else thinks.
That's
All right, we got a time for one more wrap around the panel before we close. This has been so good, and I know I'm not playing. I know how busy you are because we're voting on Tuesday, and
Yes.
so thank you, because
And I'm hoping some of you have already voted, because early voting is going on right now until Sunday at 6. So hopefully you're going to vote early.
I'm trying to go now. Can you go up to the library?
You can go up to the library. The library is open until 6.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got to go, y'all. I'm going out of town, and I don't like to risk it. I used to love voting on the actual voting day, but now I'm worried I'll get, in a crash or something. I might not be able
It always rains, Dana, on the afternoon of election day. It always rains.
Well,
Yeah.
August, Florida,
Right.
I've seen that, galoshes. Let's start with Kimmy. Kimmy, what are your final closing thoughts and comments today?
I had a question about voter turnout, since we were just talking about that. What percentage, if you know, of folks come out and vote in the primaries in our town?
People want to vote in presidential, or they want to just vote in the general. You can go to the supervisor of elections office every day doing early voting. You can check to see all of the precincts that are open, early voting precincts that are open. You can see how many votes were cast each day in a total. But right now it is low, and it's always low, it seems, in these early days and in the primaries. What we need to make sure people understand is that there will be elections decided on Tuesday.
Yeah.
You can't wait until November. Some will be decided on Tuesday. It is my prayer that my election will be decided on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I have been running for a long time, and I want to relax a little bit.
Please.
So get out there and vote, and take some. We're asking 5 to take 5 to make sure. My granddaughter is going to be voting for the first time. She's 18. She's here at FAMU. She's my oldest son's daughter. My child, as a teenage mother, the one who made me a mother as a teenager, his daughter is here at FAMU, and I'm gonna help her get her vote cast for the first time this weekend. So we need to get it up. We need to get voter turnout up, and all elections are important. We can't sit any of them out. We've already seen what the Supreme Court has done with Roe v. Wade. We've already heard from Clarence Thomas what may be next on the agenda. Listen, when people show you who they are, believe them.
Yeah. Don't
So
talk about it.
we better get our duffs out there and vote, and get people up there that's going to help us retain these rights that we thought were already settled.
Absolutely.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree. Are we still doing souls to polls? Is that happening this Sunday, or are they not doing
Listen,
it?
let me tell you, I don't know if everybody has returned to church yet, for the souls to
Yeah.
go to the polls.
Yeah.
But you know what? You don't need a church to take your soul to the poll. Just
Mhm.
take your soul to the poll anyhow. You don't
Yeah.
have to wait to Sunday to take it. Take your soul before Sunday if you can.
Yep. No, it's too important. You know, it's such a shame that we decide really important things in our state on those off years, like governor. But I just, and people are so turned off. Like, I don't know who mentioned it about campaigning now versus campaigning in the past. I mean, a lot of people, you know, they don't want to get into the politics. Our law partner, Jimmy Fasig, happiest man alive. He ought to live at Disney World. You know why? Because he doesn't involve himself in politics or current affairs. I have had 2 heart ablations already because I'm a political junkie and I'm totally dialed in and I watch too much news. I have had to dial it back because it was affecting my mental health, my physical health. You know, I can't worry about everything and I can't change everything. I can only do what I can do, but
But you know
yeah,
what?
get active.
People say they don't do politics. If you don't do politics, politics will do you.
They do you.
Yeah.
Politics does you. That's the truth. Kia, what are your final thoughts today?
I think just to leave some insight as a leader, how do you stay mindful of who's at the table with you and who's missing?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's an excellent question. I remember the people who sent me to the commission. I promised them that I would be their voice in the room where decisions were being made. I see them as I'm sitting at the table. I hear them. I get phone calls, I get text messages, I get smoke signals, I get whatever to always remind me of who I'm representing. And I love it because that means that they're engaged. And when I do look to see who's missing. And our city manager will tell you, I'm big on diversity and inclusion. And when I look and I see somebody or something missing, and I'm sitting in an area where everybody's looking the same and we're missing a perspective, I key in on that. Where is next time they need to be here? We have a diversity and inclusion office because when I got to the city commission and I looked at the org chart, I pushed it across my desk to the city manager and I said, there are not enough Black faces on this org chart. And this was management. We need to have this city of Tallahassee look like the city of Tallahassee.
That's a novel.
Inside and out.
Right?
You know what they say, Kia? Elizabeth Warren says this. I don't know if she originally did it. She said, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're probably on the menu.
That's right. That's
You
right.
gotta bring that chair with you.
Bring that folding chair with you. That's right.
Bring it. All right, Denisha, what are your final thoughts today?
My final question would be, how far do you see yourself going in politics? Are you going to just stay with city commission? Or do
Ooh,
you wanna do
Oprah.
something more? You know what?
Well, I'm gonna give you the politically correct answer, then I'm gonna give you my answer. The politically correct answer is I plan to serve as long as the voters want me to serve. I am 59 years young.
Yes, you are.
And I believe that I am in the spring of my life.
Yes.
And I have the energy, the passion to do whatever is next to do.
Right.
Now, my interest right now is with the city commission because we're getting things done. And as long as we're getting things done and we're closest to the people, I love that. As long as we're getting things done, I'm happy here. But if I need to go higher to make sure things get done, because we got somebody who allegedly lives here and they're trying to take over home rule where, we can no longer govern locally, then we may have to go a little higher to help them understand that we the people, we're the government, and it's for the people, by the people, and it's of the people. Right. So that's my answer, and I'm sticking to that.
Yes, ma'am.
I love it. Thank you, Dianne. My good friend, my ride or die from way back.
Way back.
I love what you're doing for us. I love your energy. I always have. We've done a lot of good work together on some charities and some nonprofits. We're just doing it. And I appreciate everything you do for our community. And I appreciate you making time for us today during this busy campaign season.
Thank you all
Thank
for this hour of power. I love this. I love it. Love it. Thank you all so much. And Dana, you know I love you, girl. You're my sister from a different mister. Thank you all so much.
Thank
Well,
you.
I'm gonna be here on Tuesday morning. Give me some signs.
All right. We'll be out there.
All right, tell me where to go.
All right. All right.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. This has been another fantastic Empowering Empower Hour with City Commissioner Dianne Williams-Cox. We appreciate you watching. As always, if you have any questions or suggestions for future guests, reach out to us at Facing Brooks. I'm Dana at facingbrooks.com, and you have been here for another wonderful, wonderful hour. We'll hope you join us again next week for another episode of the Empower Hour brought to you by the Empower Plant by Facing Brooks. Everybody have a good weekend.